Hi, this is Brian Icenhower, and I am really excited today. I've got a good friend of mine freed up to be with all of us. Adam Bailey, how's it going, my man?
Outstanding, sir.
Very good. Just do it, Adam.
Let's do it, brother.
How you like that? How you like that? One of the most famous hashtags, and this is the author. It is, just so you know, it's not Nike or Michael Jordan. This is the one and only man that started it right here.
Let's do it, club.
And just for those of you who don't know Adam, Adam's team sold over 1,000 homes a year. And a big part of that is a team of five, anywhere from 5 to 8 or so inside sales agents, ISAs, that accounted for anywhere from 50 to 60% of the team's business. And that has led that team to be ranked somewhere around 9th or 10th in the nation by the Wall Street Journal for quite a few years now. And he's in Wichita, Kansas, so he's not operating in one of the major metros. But he's still getting it done at as high as a level as anyone. And a lot of that is thanks to what we're going to talk about today. Adam, welcome, my man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So what I thought we'd talk about, which I know here, I want to get right at it, man. I want to talk about what a lot of people want to know is it's not just the numbers, it's the quality of your inside sales agent team and how they are so effective and have such high conversion rates.
Yeah.
I think a big part of that is how they communicate with people. So I'd really like to talk about, if I could get you to share that with the crowd, you know, how they're so dang good at conversation and communication with people they don't know, oftentimes just online leads or leads that come in through a number of lead sources, how they're good at nurturing those leads, following up with those leads until we ultimately get them to a point where they want to meet face to face.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. When I got started in real estate 2009, 2010, we were still in a recession.
That's right.
When IDX feeds was just starting to come out around that time, like 2010, I think we started with Boomtown around that time. They were a very small company. I think we were like a 20, 25 client for them, right? They were a small startup company. Now they're a fast growing company. Like you have Zinc, you have, Real Geeks, you have everything to choose from. And I started out as a buyer's agent, and I started generating these leads for myself and just getting into real estate. And I was just hammering the phone like everyone else. You ready to buy or sell? And I was just like, man, we're spending a lot of money, and we're about 90,000 to 100,000 in the hole with these internet leads. And I was trashing them all. And then they started coming back around the 9-month mark, 10-month mark, because they were getting dripped on. And then I started asking them questions like, what made you come back to the site? And then just started to reverse that psychology. And then I started split testing different intros to get the intro down that we have. And I understood there was a whole psychological process. When you go and look for homes right now on the internet, you're probably not ready to buy tomorrow or within 30 days. So there's a fantasy stage, whatever, a dream stage. There's actually an information gathering, collecting stage. There's an actively just looking stage. And we hear that from everybody. And then there's actual purchasing, driving by, looking at the exterior, checking out the neighborhood, all of that stuff. So there's like 4 stages. And you have to understand the 4 stages and communicate effectively for what stage they're in, and then put them in a sequenced follow-up touching system that is speaking to them for where they're at and what stage they're in. That's going to nurture them, because we hear the big nurture word, through the whole cash conversion cycle, which is 6 to 18 months with buyer leads to get them to percolate and get into a position to purchase.
That's phenomenal. Yeah. And I think that's the key, is knowing the different degrees of urgency, as you said, what stage they are in the process when you come in contact with them, and then setting them up in a variety of automated touch campaigns, whether that be email or text or what have you, with different degrees of frequency depending on where they are. Clearly, someone that's ready to start, looking at houses, that's going to be a high frequency touch. People that are just kind of in the fantasy stage or dream stage, we're going to be a little less frequent in our communication. And then, of course, everything in between. And so that's the automated part. Adam, I'm going to keep coming at you. I want to know, I want the meat and potatoes. I want to know the part that you got to do, that your ISAs do? What are they saying to these guys? And let's go chronological. Let's start with that initial response. When that phone call, when they make that initial phone call to a prospective lead, let's talk about that initial response period.
So there's three parts to my intro, and it seems kind of lengthy, and we can kind of break this down. But when we first call them, we're basically just saying, ring, ring.
Hello. Sorry.
Brian. Brian.
Yes. Yes.
This is Adam Bailey calling from XYZ Company. Real quick, I see here that you had created an account, and I personally wanted to call and say thank you for that. I see here you looked at a couple of homes, didn't know if I could answer any questions you may have, or if I could just really understand your situation. And then we pause.
Yeah, kind of weird. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people, they're registering on all these other IDX feeds, right? And everybody else is calling them in the market to buy or sell. When do you think you'll list? When do you want to get out? And we hit them with the pattern interrupt, right? And the first pattern interrupt in that intro is a thank you, because we want to come across as a resource hub, a resource center in this. And when somebody picks up the phone and just says, thank you for creating an account, what are you going to say to them? Okay.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Now, I don't care even about answering questions that they're looking at. I don't care if they're buying or selling at that time. We purchase off of pain or pleasure. And I prescribe to that. And I want to understand their situation as quick as possible, so I can start understanding what their pain points are, what their goals are, what their hurdles are to be able to sell or purchase. And then I want to reverse engineer from there and offer solutions to get them to take action that's optimized off of that net result that they're going to experience. And so we hit them with situation, and a lot of people are calling and asking, how's your home search going? How's the website going? What prompted you to register, right? They're beating around the bush, right? It's going good. I'm 12 months out, or I'm a ways out, and they don't get very specific. And so with situation, what you're going to find is 30% of the people are going to puke their situation on you. I got this going on. I need help. This is where I'm at. And the other 70%, we want to get a response that is just looking, not in the market to buy a home right now. The website force registered me. So we're going to predict how this conversation is going to go, right?
Sure.
So 70% is going to say, I'm just looking. What happens when most people, when they say, I'm just looking, I'm not in the market to buy a home, their tone is crappy. They're just kind of standoffish. And most people it takes the wind out of their sail. Okay. With us, fantastic, outstanding, perfect, no problem. You can use one of those keywords. I don't care. Make it your own and own it. But you have to be very positive when they hit you with that, the prospect, because that's what we predict they're going to say. That's what they are going to say.
Right.
Fantastic. Most people that register on our website are just like you. They're usually just looking, browsing. We echo back a keyword or time frame that they told us. We echo that back to them to let them know they're in a safe place. They're on track. They're right where they should be in the home buying process. Outstanding. Most people create an account are usually about 6 to 18 months out or a year out, just like yourself, Brian. Now, here's what I can do for you today since you created an account with us, because this is more than a website. I work here in the Client Care Center. Yes, I am licensed. We're a resource hub for the duration of your home searching process. We can customize this account to fit your specific need, price range, area of town, whatever. So when the new homes hit the market, they'll be emailed out to you, not just our listings, every single listing in the area with all homes. Now, it looks like you're looking in the Wichita area, right? Is that the only area you're looking at?
Probably so.
So we can pause right there. Okay, so at that time, we've said thank you. We basically embrace that, okay, no problem. You're just looking. I'm not here to sell you on anything like the other guys. And this is where we pivot to value. And this is when they open up to give you true motivation, or to where you can extract those pain points, because they're guarded. Subconsciously, they're supposed to lie to us. They're not supposed to tell us the truth. They're not going to be honest with you. So it's up to us to position ourselves, demonstrate leadership, add value, and ask the right questions in the right order. And so then what we're going to tell them is we're a resource center, we're a resource hub, and we start customizing the account. And I don't care what CRM you use, there's a back office where you can start customizing bedrooms, area, basement, fenced yard, and you want to use different type of language like resource, Also, let them know that we have live chat on the website where you can get all your questions answered and not be sold as you're setting this stuff up. And then you can ask questions like, if you had a magic wand, how soon would you like to be into your next home? And so they're feeling like you're doing something for them. And so they're going to reciprocate and start answering some of your motivation and timing questions because they know that you're setting them up to get information and accurate information with all companies. And so they're going to say, well, 6 months, 12 months after you hit them with the magic wand, right? And then you can follow it up with, okay, well, what needs to happen within that time? Are you cleaning up a credit score, saving up for a down payment? Do you need to sell your home? And they'll usually tell you. And those are the two pieces of golden information that we're looking for. Even if they try to rush you off the phone, I have techniques where we jump right to that part of the dialogue and we get those two pieces of information. And then we can follow up accordingly, and we also know their motivation. And so once you get those two pieces of information, you really can break down and help them solve problems from that point. Because if it's a credit issue, down payment, then you can demonstrate your expertise. Well, part of having an account with us in the Client Care Center, we can let you know your credit score for free. Do you know your credit score? Well, no, I don't. Well, I can take a little bit of information really quick for over the phone, and we can give you your credit score, okay? Where do you live? And then this is where we start taking many pre-approval apps. This is kind of where I made my name with delivering quality to our buyer agents and not handoffs with what everybody else is doing, or they have questions about the home buying process. Before we set an appointment, they're already pre-approved when we set them on the calendar for a consultation, or we set it for a few days out for a showing or a neutral location, and we'll have a green light if they're pre-approved or the red light to cancel the appointment. And we let them know that the lender is going to try to earn their business, but it's no obligation. It's just part of having this account in our resource center. A way to create some other action is when you get to price. It looks like you're looking in between 150 to 200,000. Yeah, that's a range I like to stay in. How did you come up with that? Do you currently own your own home? Do you understand what your debt to income ratio is? And everybody's going to say no. And you're going to be like, oh, are you serious? Oh, I think you need to have this information. A good thing about having an account with us, I can get you that information because it's going to affect your buying power for free. I just need to get a little bit of information from you. And then I go right to it. I don't even ask them. And most people give up birth dates, how much they make, social security numbers, everything. And then we're like, okay, XYZ lender is going to call you, whoever has that co-marketing agreement with that agent. And 9 times out of 10, we get it. And so, talking about value propositions like a home buyer advantage program, love it or leave it guarantee, worry-free listings, credit score stuff for free. You need to be able to incorporate some of this stuff into your value propositions when you're going through your structure of a call to figure out what they're going to respond to. So then you can hit them with the optimizing closing paragraph later, because quad scripting is, do I take a pre-approval attempt? Do I set a listing appointment? Do I set a follow-up? Or do I set a buyer's appointment? Because you will find some people already pre-approved.
Yeah, no, I love that, how you're always looking for different ways and different opportunities to add value throughout the process. And that's kind of the key. And that's why we dig. And I love how you also frame the relationship by the fact that you're a client care center. And you even framed it from a time frame that really all we're talking about right now is throughout the home search process. You have not pre-assumed that there's any obligation to buy or sell a home with us, which gives you a nice kind of comfortable non-obligation and a chance to earn value, so long as we constantly look for ways for those pain points that we can actually help and make better every single time. And you're never asking anything of them other than information to help them with that pain all the way through. Yeah, it's phenomenal. And then that we kind of merged your initial response into how you nurture and follow up, how we stay in touch over time and time there. Anything else you want to talk about, the nurturing process, the follow-up process?
That's really the first call. We do that much vetting on the first call.
Amazing.
Okay?
Amazing.
Yeah, we do that much vetting on the first call. And then, like I said, we're looking for 4 things on the first call. Setting the follow-ups, getting them in the right drips, whether it's A, B, or C, hot, watch, nurture, however you categorize the psychological stages that I broke down. Yeah, and then with the follow up, hopefully we understand their time frames, we understand their motivation. If the resource center was positioned correctly, almost everybody is going to be pretty guarded up front. And once you use language like this and the values there, they're going to give you their time frame, so you can set to dos that are legit to dos and follow up with them in a timely manner. You know, most people have 20, 30 people in their database. I was managing over 100,000 in a database. And I tell people, like, leads are not job security. It doesn't mean money in the bank in the future.
Right.
First thing I always ask is, how many tasks or to-dos do you have set? And that's actually how many leads you actually have in your database.
That is true. Real quick, before we go into the nurturing and the follow-up, I just want to highlight this because we moved through it kind of quickly there. What is the quad close? Give me the 4 things that we're looking to accomplish on that first call.
So we might have cut out, but I'm looking to figure out pain and pleasure points.
Right.
What your timeline is. And then to take a pre-approval attempt.
Okay.
A mini app, whatever you call it. Yeah, the lender still has to call and confirm all that information, but it qualifies them and they feel like they're on value. A buyer's appointment if they're pre-approved, actively wanting to get out and look. A listing appointment if they need to sell before they buy, and we won't set up showings or any of that stuff before they meet with one of our expert listing agents. And or a strategic follow-up. So 4 things that we're looking to do on that initial call.
Very nice. Okay, excellent. And that's good. And we're trying to probe into each pain point there, or pleasure point for that matter, and trying to isolate which is the quickest way we can help. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay, so now let's talk about your process for at least the phone calls or the people part of nurturing and follow-upping with those leads over time.
Yeah. I mean, if this is done, if the first part of the funnel is done correctly as they're coming into your funnel, you're going to be setting a lot of to-dos, and you're going to be what I coach people on to do is cut the time in half, because people also exaggerate time. And so if they tell you I'm 6 months out, just don't set that thing for 5 months or 6 months and follow up with them. Are you ready to buy or sell? Make sure that you have the customized home hunter alert set up, and then you're going to be able to watch their behaviors. And so we might have a to-do set up that, let's say they're 6 months out. I say cut that time in half. So we're going to follow up with them on the phone in 3 months, but then the frequency of the e-alert, we ask them, it's respectful. Do you want to see this daily, weekly, biweekly, monthly? We don't want to inundate them with information and then them opt out. People shop for homes, not agents. And so I want them viewing homes. However, if their buying behavior dictates a phone call or a follow-up from the call center, then we will call them loan calculation, printing flyers, emailing a friend a home, viewing a home multiple times in a day, like 5 to 7 times in a 24-hour period. And so there's a lot of buying behaviors that we can track with these different CRMs, and then we follow up with them and ask them just different questions that's optimized to their behaviors in real life time. And then once again, letting them know, hey, no problem. You just have an account with us. And they'll get to a point where they'll ask you, does this cost me money? Is this free? Are you even in Wichita? Absolutely. And it absolutely is free. And I'd keep using it before we start charging. And we let them know we're open from 8 a.m. till 9 o'clock at night. And we always talk about our live chat. I started running live chat in 2010, and probably about 15% of our appointments were from live chat. Just recently, I'd say in the last year, 2 years, 45% of our appointments off our live chat, but they could be 4-year-old leads, 2-year-old leads. We've been respectively touching them, and they know that there's not a robot behind that live chat where they can come and get information from a licensed agent. They're not just going to ask a question and then try to hand them off to another agent. I take the Gary Vee approach. We give information, and then on that third question, we ask to respectfully expedite the process by taking it offline to a phone conversation. Then once again, we try to hit them with quad scripting or the four points: follow up again, set a new follow up, update their account, notes are king, and or pre-approval attempt, buyer appointment, or a listing appointment. What happens is the multiplier sets in. You want to create organic traffic. So people are at work and they're on their live chat and they're like, man, I've been searching for this house. I hate dealing with agents. You can go to this website, you can communicate with them, and they drip on me appropriately. The homes are accurate what they're sending. The information they give is valuable. And when they follow up with me, they're coming from a place of contribution and value and education, and not salesy.
That is amazing. One thing I want to point out here, just in case someone isn't tracking on this. So when we talked about when we do that initial response and we're trying to find that degree of urgency and the different timelines for follow-up we want to put them on, again, there's going to be automated responses. And when Adam is discussing to-dos, that's actually setting them up in a campaign based upon that degree of urgency that then turns around and tells us when to do our part too. And of course, that's going to be more frequent when we feel like a lead wants to move quickly a little bit sooner, right? Like your hot leads or your A leads. Those are going to be a lot more frequent to-dos on the person's part, right? With the calling, with possibly texting. And then we've also talked about live chat as well too, where we make ourselves available to them the minute they hop on that site, right?
It was kind of cutting in and out here, but you want to optimize the sales process. Most people that are trying to set up ISAs or with their buyer agents, it's so random, and it's so when the agent needs to pay their bills or they need to put food on the table, where people, most rainmakers like yourself, I was just blessed because I started out with this stuff, and I started out when it was first coming out and when we were in a down market. But most rainmakers have never worked in the IDX system, never called buyer leads, never worked on the sequencing part of this. And I want to optimize the inside sales department in conjunction with the handoff to the sales team. And I want to follow up on the prospect's terms and only be as motivated as they are, not when we're motivated, not when we need to hit our quota in the call center, or not when we need to get a home in escrow because we have a car payment due. I only want to be as motivated as they are and respect their time frames. And once you can align with that, your business will explode. The first year I was able to crack the code with this, we went from 350 units to 688, and it's like 76, 78% growth if you do the math once we got this right.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I love how you talk about really analyzing the behavior when we're following up. And just so everyone knows on that one too, what they're doing is they're setting up potential leads on different search criteria where they receive automated e-alerts every time a new listing hits their market. You can even do it with sellers too, to keep them updated on the sales activity in their own neighborhoods as well too, to kind of see what the competition's doing so they can keep an eye on how their price is increasing on their home. So every time they receive those, when they do click on them, they interact with your site, and we can actually monitor that behavior in most CRMs out there nowadays.
Right, without a doubt. You don't want to creep them out, but you want to know, like, we can see what you're doing, and it's okay to engage with us. Most people creep people out and go too far right, and then other people don't use the information that's given to them. We're in a big data world, right? And real estate is just figuring out how to use all this stuff. I'll give you an example. If somebody prints a flyer, just going to off the website, you can see that. You can text them and be like, hey, I seen that you printed the flyer at 123 Main Street. It's fair to assume that you're going to drive by and look at the exterior of that property. I can set you up a private showing where you can see the inside of that home with no obligation. And I'm not a robot. Please respond, or whatever. Or you can pick up the phone and hit them with that same thing. They're going to appreciate it. And they'll be like, well, I'm going to drive by and look at it first. Follow up with me later. I'll call you back. But once you're consistent with coming from that place of, I have the information, you have the account, I want to service you, and they keep denying your service, eventually they're going to embrace this service and they're going to use it. And a lot of people even have other agents and they still use it. However, I want to create mind share with them, and I want to almost guilt them into like reciprocity. Like, these people have done so much for me, I have to give them my business, or at least an opportunity when I'm ready to buy or sell.
Yeah, I agree. I always call that washing their windows for them. If you're ever like in a major metropolitan area, man, and you get stopped at a stoplight and you get like just kind of a street person come up and just start cleaning your window, it's kind of hard to turn him away when he asks for money afterwards, you know? So you're the window washer, Adam.
You see that in big cities. We don't have that in Wichita, but I know.
I was also going to say it might be a good idea to not creep someone out by saying, hey, I saw you printed out that flyer on the website. By the way, what are you wearing right now? That's not good. That's not good. All things not to say.
you do want to optimize it to their activities, but be supportive, not salesy. You want to
look for ways to help. Right.
Absolutely. And the multiplier will help, and you'll start getting a lot of organic traffic, because they'll tell you do one thing bad, they're going to tell 50 people, but you do one thing good, they're going to tell at least 3 or 4 people they work with or friends or whatever. And we hear it all the time from from other people when we initially make contact with them. They're like, well, I chose your site because of the client care center or the resource center and the live chat, and I'm just looking like they were, right? And that's the top of the funnel. So
Yep, that's right. Okay, so let's transition to when we're getting closing to a transition to a sales agent, right? And we talked about your optimizing closing paragraph. I want to hear about that.
Okay. All right. Well, let's first talk about the transition. A lot of people have a hard time handing leads off, or there's a disconnect or a drop. And people don't want to be handed off, and people don't want to be transferred to another person, right? So what you have to do, especially if you run the team model is you're always selling. And so there's never me, myself, and I. There's always we, us, experts, them, professionals, specialists. And so you can always give them the ease of, yeah, I've been working in the client care department for X amount of years, 5 years, 2 years. I am a licensed agent. I just don't work in that capacity. You'll be working with XYZ expert agent, and you're always selling that person. You're always selling that position. ISAs are always selling buyer agents. Listing agents are always selling our transactions, listings team, and the buyer agents. And it's just the ecosystem. And so you got to get comfortable selling each other. And then the handoff will be seamless, because if you're selling yourself and trying to make that connection, they're going to want to work with you, and then the rapport isn't there. But if you're pre-framing and conditioning those conversations for the handoff, they know what to expect, because we don't have the ISA tied to the account. So when we set the drips up, they see the agent, and we run the broker access model. And so the agents can see the notes, they can add notes, we can add notes, but they still see the picture. So the emotional connection is with the picture of the agent, not the ISA. The voice and the connection and all that's made with the ISA. And so handing them off, they know that they're going to be being hand off to Teresa when they're ready to take action.
Give me an example of what some of the dialogues look like when they are future pacing about that agent in advance. I love the idea of showing on the marketing materials and the website and the emails, the agent. And you said that they actually, use some scripts along the way to future pace that transition down the road.
Right. So we're just pre-framing that. So even if this isn't the closing paragraph, we'll get to that when they're ready to take action. But the handoff is when the ISA can see because we have 8 loan officers in 3 different markets that we're supporting, and 50 different agents in 3 different markets. So we all want to seem seamless. And so right when we get that account pulled up, we can see which loan officer and which agent is tied to that account. So even through the duration of the structure of the call that we went through, we're plugging the agent's name. Every now and then we just say, I'm setting this up for you, but your agent might also reach out, or it looks like you've already spoke with them. They're also going to be sending these emails. I'm their assistant. I service them. I work for them. I help them, even though I am going to help you. And so we just embed that stuff throughout the structure of the call, and just subliminally it's just trained, and it's just a way for us to position our agents. It's not just on that last touch or we're about to set the appointment, we start talking about it. We position that agent through the duration, like on that first call, customizing that. Now you're not going to see these emails coming from Adam. You're actually going to see them coming from Brian. He's the expert. He's the buyer agent. I'm their assistant. I work alongside them. They're professional negotiators. They're putting deals together. And I'm making sure that you don't fall through the cracks, and taking care of you on the back end here.
Got it. I love that. Okay, let's say I start moving into that place where I'm looking like I might need to start transitioning over to work with the sales agent. What does that look like?
Okay, so most people don't know how to close, and if you've downloaded, there's tons of different scripts out there for closing or asking, but they're all generic, and they're not optimized to what I'm trying to achieve, or what my pleasure point is, or my pain point is, or whatever I'm trying to solve or do. And so this paragraph was given to me from a multi-million-dollar copywriter out of Arizona when I was 26 years old, almost 10 years ago. And this had generated me a bunch of business with my insurance business, and it got me in a lot of doors. And it's also generated us a lot of money on the insurance side. And it's as simple as, I'm going to give you just as simple as fill in the blank, and then we can even use it. And a lot of agents take notes when they're on the phone. They're jotting down keywords. They're writing down what the prospect's telling them. They're taking page full notes, and then they don't use that information in a formula to get the prospect, suspect, or lead to take actions on their needs, wants, and desires. They just put the notes back in the CRM. They're like, well, I'll follow back up with you and whatever. Let me know if you see something. Now, one of the things I specialize in is helping people really explode and expand their business. Anyways, been on the phone with you for a few minutes, Brian. If I could show you how to sell 20 to 30 homes week in and week out without fail, just like we do, would that be worth a few minutes of your time? See how this could work for you and your team.
Huh. Yeah.
I just optimize what people right here watching this want to do with that paragraph, right? I took some pain, the net result that they're going to get, tied it all back together. So I'll give you an example. One of the things we specialize is in, and then write a line. Right? And just draw a line. And in between this line needs to be pain, goals, what they're trying to achieve, pleasure points, different things that could be key words that you wrote down when you're speaking with them.
Yeah, it's like a Mad Lib. You're just going to use their words back at them as the reason to meet.
Absolutely. It's almost damn near impossible not to take action, right? I know right. I'm tapped into their emotional state. And if they see me as an authoritative figure, they respect me, like me, see me as the expert, we're consistent, they're going to take action. Like, you want to do this. If not, it's like, it's me, right? You know, but anyways, been on the phone with you for a few minutes. If I can show you how to draw another line and then here you need to put what they're going to net, what they're going to experience if they take action. Is that going to be worth a few minutes of your time? See how this could work for you, and then insert whatever, family, team, you know, make it relative to whatever they're trying to do. Just as simple as this. Let's say somebody's trying to clean up a credit score. You know, they don't know if they can get pre-approved. No problem. Like, one of the things we specialize in is working with people just like yourself, cleaning up credit, getting you in a position to purchase. I know I've been on the phone with you for a few minutes. If we could show you how to find a good deal and purchase it at a good interest rate, and match you with thousands of loans that are out there for people just like yourself, would that be worth a few minutes of your time to see if this could work for you and your family?
Yeah. So all of a sudden what you're doing is taking the objection they have towards going it forward, using it right back at them as the reason to move forward and actually meet.
You need to look at yourself as a professional problem solver. That's a problem and a limiting belief in their head. And
right.
If I can shatter that limiting belief with a solution, or even give me a few minutes to see if I can even solve it, is that going to be worth a few minutes of your time? You know, one of the things we specialize in is getting homes sold fast for top dollar. So if I could show you how to get this done, and with our worry-free aggressive marketing plan that's going to work without a fail, is that going to be worth a few minutes of your time to see how this could work for you? Now, I'm giving you generic ones, but if I was on the phone, that closing paragraph is going to sound very similar, okay? But it's going to be their keywords, their problems, and it works, man. People take action.
I think so. And I think this is where a lot of people get stuck so much too. They think that, like, they start to assess a lead as we can't move it forward. And what they don't realize is that they've just got the clear to close. Right. They are at a moment where suddenly when you get stuck, you realize we can't go forward with it because of this pain. That's actually your green light to move forward to the appointment. We've got the objection we need. Now we have the reason to meet. So we've got to get good at running into that wall, grabbing that wall, and using that to jump over it.
Yep, that's exactly true. Nobody wants to hear a canned presentation. I don't care how much we hear it from national coaching companies. No disrespect. I've coached with everyone in this industry, okay? But I want it to be optimized off getting in front of them to solve problems. People will drive miles and miles to get in front of an expert that's going to collapse the time that it's going to take them to achieve what they're looking to achieve. Now, I'll give you another one on the buyer side. You know, one of the things we specialize in is working with people that is relocating into XYZ area. Anyways, been on the phone with you for a few minutes. If I can show you how to make sure the contract's weighted in your favor in the Maze area, attempt to get your closing costs paid for, home warranty, look after your fiduciary responsibility, would that be worth a few minutes of your time to see how this could work for you and your family? Something like that, even optimized to location. You got all that information when you was customizing the site. And then when they started giving you basic information, they started opening up to you because they felt like you were adding value. They could trust you because you're not going to sell them. And then I'm looking for keywords. I'm looking for pain. I'm looking for issues that I'm going to end up pivoting later on and solving. And that's why the ISAs I coach, even though they could pivot and get a listing appointment now and they could pounce on it now, they still stay disciplined and go through the whole core process. And then they're like, well, here, here's I got a suggestion. One of the things we specialize is in, or we could offer you for having an account with us, and then we offer the solution, right? And we just don't hop right to it when we could, because we don't want to seem hungry, needy, and we want to be disciplined, that we'll circle back around to it. It's amazing.
The more patience you have, the more value you're going to be able to add. And then the more blanks you're going to have to fill in. You're going to get more keywords. You're going to get more needs throughout that process.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Absolutely. Here, if this is done correctly, these are high turnover positions. But I'll tell you, I just started working with another team in Denver. I hired this ISA, or got help train, get this guy hired and trained him. He's been with the company 2.5 years in this position. And then we were people from New York today to Washington, and listening to him prospect. I was even tweaking him, and he's at 7-1, 7 valid conversations to 1 pre-approved buyer or listing appointment. That's what you want to scale. And if this language and if this technique is done correctly, that's what you're looking at. My brand promise that the best I could get was 7 to 8-1. But I haven't worked in the field or personally been on the phones doing this stuff full time for 4 or 5 years now. However, if you're running the hybrid system and agents are calling on it and you're still banging on old data, it's going to be about 15 valid conversations to 1 appointment. Most people, most agents, most ISAs that I start working with and across the country are about 30 to 50 valid conversations just to get 1 appointment. And it might not even be a pre-approved appointment. It's just to meet with somebody and figure out the process, right?
Right.
And so if you do this, you can really make a lot of money, and you can convert leads. If you throw in your listings, it's not a myth to convert internet leads in between 5 to 8%. Everybody uses 3%. For that, and that's still average to me. However, most people are converting at 1.5 to 2%, and they still think that that's good. If you've changed the language, if you change the culture of how you engage with your leads and nurture these things, 5 to 8% is very realistic with this stuff.
Agreed.
And we're just scratching the surface too.
Yeah, that's true. Adam, thank you so much, man. This is you poured into these guys today, and you took them all the way through the process, and it's no surprise, man. It's no surprise that you convert at the rate you guys do. And you've had the success you do as a result, and the way you give too, man. So you always give to other people, inspire people, help people, even people you don't know. And I know that stuff comes around, so we all appreciate it, man.
Well, a lot of people don't know this, but I'm going to send you the bill later.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
I'm kidding.
Man, I'd much rather owe you than pay you.
I'm kidding. I love it. I know that's my philosophy is give more and be more. And I turned 36 in January, and I grew up, I started in being self-employed in sales at the age of 22. So I consumed a lot of Zig Ziglars from the old timers, Watch This, Jim Rome, and something that always stuck with me. It's even what I'm going through now in this transition. It's like, you help enough people achieve what they want to achieve, then the universe is always going to take care of you. And that's an old Zig Ziglar quote, and it's a philosophy that I've always lived by.
I agree with that one, my man. I do. Well, thanks again for everything, Adam. Good luck, man, and I'll be talking to you soon, brother.